Hitting recruiting goals can be pretty expensive. Hey, I am Chuck the Bureaucrat, and there is a particular economic principle that can be very expensive to the American taxpayer. And while it's a simple concept to understand, it goes by a funny name that can mislead folks. That name is economic rent, and if you stick with me, you'll see how this principle can burn hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars. All right, so economic rent is an amount of money that is earned beyond what is economically necessary. A classic example of this applies to labor unions. Suppose there's a given worker who would be willing to do a certain job for $15 an hour, but the union has negotiated a rate of $18 an hour for that job. So what ends up happening is the worker gets $3 an hour more than would be necessary to get them to do the job. Now, why do I associate this with Army recruiting? Well, for one thing, the Army offers a host of bonuses to achieve force-shaping goals. Bonuses to go to active duty, bonuses to ship to basic training right away, bonuses for in-demand jobs, even bonuses not to go full-time. And when recruiting gets tough, it is not hard to imagine that bonuses grow. But consider this hypothetical scenario. Suppose we have 1,000 candidates who would join for no bonus. We got another 1,200 who would join for $10,000, and so on, all the way out to a batch of 5,000 folks who would join if and only if they got $50,000. So what do you think happens if the Army has to recruit, I don't know, say 3,000 people? They need to tap into this group. So they need to offer $20,000 bonuses, but they end up having to pay that $20,000 to all the people who would have joined for less than $20,000. So as recruiting goals rise, and bonuses do too, the extra amount between what the candidates needed to induce them into service, the orange line, and the cost to the taxpayer, the blue line, well, that gap grows. And while these are clearly hypothetical numbers, the principle remains. But so what? I mean, on a strategic level, why would this even matter? Well, number one, this kind of a phenomenon redirects Army dollars from unit training towards soldier pay. In essence, the additional money that junior soldiers pocket takes away from the resources necessary to prepare them for combat. I mean, at a $50,000 bonus, we're talking $1 million for just 20 soldiers. Now imagine a brigade commander. How much of his training dollars are being converted into used Camaros sitting in the parking lot? Number two, money is kind of a limiting factor. I know, it seems like you can just tax people more and more and more, but it can't go on forever. And so as the cost to get people into uniform goes up and up and up, at some point you're going to have to limit the number of people that you recruit. Smaller and less ready, it just doesn't seem like a really good plan. And finally, there is a significant amount of research from the 1960s and 70s about the societal cost of conscription. All of this got summarized by Bernard Rosker. On balance, one factor in favor of the all-volunteer force was simply that it would be cheaper at a national economic level. But at some point, unchecked rising costs to acquire military manpower starts to reverse that conclusion. So it's worth our attention. It's worth finding ways to eliminate the economic rent paid to get the people we need. I mean, recruiting is hard under the best of conditions, so anything that we can do to smooth the road to recruit the number of people that we need, well, it's worth the thought and effort. And so if you have any ideas, watch this video.